If your edits look flat and feel like they're missing something, you are not alone. The secret to making your videos look and feel more cinematic isn't just going out and buying more expensive gear. It's utilizing the tools that we already have for us right here inside of DaVinci Resolve. Today I'm going to show you a few simple tricks that can instantly transform your edit and make it look and feel more cinematic. Hey, I'm Jason, and I help creators just like you learn DaVinci Resolve so that you can edit faster, make your videos sound better, because I'm an audio guy, and just be more confident and comfortable working inside of DaVinci Resolve. Today's video is sponsored by Krotos, and if you've never heard of them before, you are in for a treat. I'll get into that more a little bit later, but now let's get into the first tip on how to make your videos look and feel more cinematic and talk about rhythm and pacing. Let's go. First up, we have pacing and rhythm. Cinematic edits need to breathe a little bit. They move with the rhythm and the emotion of music, not just with the beat. Let me show you an example of a little sequence that does not have good pacing or good rhythm. So this is not very good pacing, and I'm going to show you what another edit of this little sequence looks like that does have good pacing. But in the edit tab here, some of the things we want to keep in mind is that you can try using your cut tools, right? You've got your razor, and you can use your keyboard shortcuts to make cuts on the beats of your music. A lot of time those beats are going to fall where you see a little bit of a peak in the waveform. So you might want to try cutting your clips to the musical accents, or even if there's movement between the music and your video clips, you want to try and match that up a little bit. Because even tiny changes in the pacing of your videos can really help change the overall feel of the video. Now let's take a look at the same scene that I did where I've made the clips a little bit shorter, I've edited them to the music, and I think it responds a little bit better with the music, and here is what that looks like. So the flow and the rhythm is a whole lot better. We're not hanging on clips so long. We're moving along with the movement and the emotion of the music a little bit better. So that's a big key, is looking at your pacing and your rhythm and making sure that it accomplishes the feeling and emotion that you want to accomplish. Tip number 2 here is color grading and mood. We want our cinematic videos to have a certain feel to them, and we're going to use color grading to help do that and help accomplish that. So let me play through a little sample here that has no color applied to it. It's just been balanced out, and then we're going to go ahead and simply apply a cinematic look to the footage. So in that video, we applied our rhythm and our pacing into our little edit there to kind of move with the music and the emotion of the music. And now we want to add that cinematic look to our clip. And you can do it really easily with an adjustment clip and the film creator look. You don't have to know how to go in and create all kinds of cool color grading. You could do it really easily. So in Resolve, I'm in the Edit tab. I'm going to go ahead and open my effects library. I want to come to my Effects tab, grab an adjustment clip, and put it in my timeline here. I'm going to zoom in on my timeline so I can stretch this adjustment clip out across my whole timeline. And now I'm going to come in my effects library, come down to Resolve Effects, and I can come down to the Film Creator look, drag and drop that onto my adjustment clip. And instantly you can see it applies a different look to my footage. In order to adjust that a little bit, close my effects library, open up my inspector, make sure your adjustment clip is selected. And in here, we've got different presets you can use, or you can create your own look altogether. So if we just go through some of these different options here, you can see what they look like. So you can pick the option that you like and then adjust any of these things that you might want to adjust. So I'm just going to play around with them a little bit and figure out something that I like. Okay, so I worked up a little something here that I like, and here's kind of what that looks like. And if you want to see a little before and after, you could just disable the track and you can see the difference that we made there. Some things that you can keep in mind is that you can push your shadows a little bit warmer. You can make your highlights a little bit cooler. And it's just going to give you a little bit of a polished kind of filmic type look to it. Now you can do that all manually if you want in the color tab, or you could just use the film creator look and create your own look. And then you can always save the adjustment clip so that you can use it at any time down the road. Tip number 3 here is to add some depth and motion. Now sometimes we may have to have static shots, and in this example here in the edit tab, working through this little studio edit here, they're all static shots because I can't film myself and move the camera while I'm on camera. So we're going to want to add some movement into those, and you can do it super easily using some dynamic zoom. For example, if I click on any clip in my timeline here, I can come on up to my inspector under the videos section, and we have dynamic zoom. And I can go ahead and just turn that on. And by default, it's already got settings set up in it. And when we play through our clip here, we can see it's going to do a slow zoom out for us, and zoom out is the default setting. If we wanted it to zoom in, we could click on this swap button right here, and it'll swap it and it'll zoom in versus zooming out. So you can see the difference there. And then let's say maybe the next clip where I'm typing, I want that one to zoom out. And it just adds a little bit more feeling and a little bit more vibe to the overall video. Now you want to keep it subtle. You don't want to use a whole ton of zoom on these different scenes because you don't want it to be too much. You just want a subtle push in or a subtle push out. And a lot of times I like to swap back and forth between zooming in and zooming out. You just decide what works best for your video. So if I add a little dynamic zoom to all of them, here's what it looks like with a little bit of movement added into the clips. If the movement is too much, it's easy to adjust. Just come to your clip. You're going to select your clip. You're going to click on the little icon over here. We come down to dynamic zoom, and right here you can adjust the amount of zoom. So the green is where it starts, the red is where it ends. You can adjust it however you'd like. But adding in that slow zoom in or zoom out is just going to add a little bit of energy into your video and help it look a little more cinematic. Tip number 4 here is to use sound design in your projects. That is going to help it feel more cinematic and really help get the video's feeling across to your viewer. Now, many editors overlook sound design or they don't think about it enough. They just worry about the visuals. But sound design is what's going to really make the difference when it comes to your edits, because even the best visuals are going to fall apart without good sound design. When I need cinematic hits, risers, or like a texture to a scene, I use a tool called Krotos, and they are the sponsor of today's video. Krotos gives you access to creating thousands of different kinds of sound effects and sound design that will fit right in with your videos. So let's jump in. We're going to add some sound design to one of our clips here. In DaVinci Resolve, I'm in the Edit tab, and we have our scene walking through the woods. So we need to jump into Fairlight so that we can use the Krotos tool and add in our sound design. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Fairlight, musical notes at the bottom. So I have a track now that I've named Krotos because I like to apply the effect onto one track, and then I can drag and drop effects and sounds wherever I want. So I'm going to come to my mixer, make it a little bit wider. On my track number 5, I'm going to go ahead and add in an effect, instrument, VST, and Krotos Studio. Now, the way Krotos works is it's a plugin right into DaVinci Resolve that we can go find the kind of sound we're looking for and then create that sound from scratch so that it matches exactly with our video. And I love using this tool. It's been great. I've been using it for quite a while. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to pop out my video track here so I can, or my video viewer, so I can see it a little bit better. And let's say now I want to match up some footsteps. So I'm walking in grass in the first step or first video clip right here. So I'm going to find maybe boots in forest here. I'm going to select that. And now all I have to do is click around. And it's going to give me the sound that I want, right? If I want dirt, just click up in the dirt area. Wet mud, sand. And they've got all kinds of different sounds, from footsteps to whooshes to close sounds to ambient noises, forest sounds, whooshes, impacts, animals, music, Halloween stuff, sci-fi. I mean, it's pretty much unlimited here. You can create pretty much every sound effect you might need for your video. So let's get back to making some footsteps here. So now I'm just going to watch through my video, and I'm going to make the footsteps as I see them on screen. And then I can drag and drop that clip right into Resolve. So I got the leaves footsteps. I'm going to click, hold, and just drag that right over into my timeline. And you could drop it on whatever track that you want. And we can watch it back. And then I step onto the wood. So I'm going to come down and do sneakers forest. And right here we have solid wood. So I like that. I'm going to watch through the video and make the wood footsteps. And then I can just drag and drop it right into my timeline. It's so easy to create sound effects that go exactly along with your video. Let's say maybe I want to add in some cinematic sound effects like a heartbeat. We can see which sound we like. So maybe I like this. We're going to play through our video and create our heartbeat. And then I just click, hold, and drag that over into my timeline. And you can make as many tracks as you want, add in as many sound effects you need to create an overall sound design. So now I'm going to add in all the sound design to this little sequence, and I'm going to play that for you right now. So sound design's so important when it comes to your videos, especially to make them feel more cinematic. So if you want to add some impact and emotion to your videos, try checking out Krotos. You're going to be able to design all of your sound design specifically for your video and just drop it right into your timeline. I'll leave a link down in the description for you. You can check it out if you're interested. A big thanks to Krotos for sponsoring this video today. Let's get into the next tip here. Tip number 5 to make your videos more cinematic. Tip number 5 here is transitions and motion blur. They can really make a big difference on the feel of your video. I'm back in the edit tab here, and if we wanted to add in some basic transitions, we can come to our effects library, video transitions, and maybe you just want something like a cross dissolve. So we could throw on a cross dissolve. You can make it as long as you want, and here's what that looks like. And that's not bad. We like that, right? It looks pretty good. But let's say maybe we wanted to use a push. And when you're using something like a push, you might want to use a little bit of motion blur. So if you select your transition, come on up to your inspector, you can see we've got our push transition. I want to add in a border and I want to feather it. So that way it kind of blends it together. And then maybe I want to add in some motion blur. And here's what that looks like. Just that little bit of blur helps make it look a little bit better. Now, another motion blur tool that you can use that gives a really interesting look to your videos and can help it make it more cinematic depending on the kind of video you're making is the motion trails, the stop motion, and the motion blur tools. So if you are in your effects library, you come to Resolve Effects and scroll down, and right here we have motion blur, motion trails, and stop motion. Now, all of these can give an interesting look to your video. So for example, let's try motion trails on this clip. I'm going to click and drag and drop it on the clip. And here's what that looks like. So if you've got a clip where somebody is kind of out of it a little bit, you might want to use this motion trails to help kind of sell that effect of like the video looking a little blurry and seeing those motion trails. Now we can always adjust that if you want. Again, select your clip, come on up in your timeline, change the amount of trail length, and it's going to give it a different look for you. And in the same way, the stop motion can give you an interesting effect that might work for your video and help it feel more cinematic depending on what you're trying to achieve. Now remember, the goal with any kind of motion blur isn't to just throw on some kind of fancy effects. It's to make the flow of your video a little bit better. You want to make sure the viewers feel the movement in your scene, but they don't notice that it's all a bunch of motion blur and fancy effects. The last tip that I have here for you when it comes to making your videos feel cinematic is to think about the aspect ratio and the letterboxing of your video. Now, you might notice this a lot with like B-roll scenes and stuff. I'm thinking Peter McKinnon style stuff. There's black bars at the top and the bottom. Here's how you can do that really quick. So in DaVinci Resolve, there's several different ways that we can create that look. One is to come to Timeline. We can go to Output Blanking and we can select any one of these options and it's going to automatically apply that for us. So for example, let's say we do 2.35 and we can see it applied the black bars right on there for us. And that's going to be throughout the entire timeline. It's just going to be on there. We can't adjust it. We can't change it unless we come back to the timeline menu and change our output blanking, or you can go ahead and reset it if you don't want to use it anymore. Now, if you wanted a little more flexibility, you could come to your effects library. In your effects library, go to your effects, grab an adjustment clip, drop that on top of your video, stretch it out as long as you need to, and then in here we can actually just kind of crop the video if we want to. So I'm going to select this adjustment clip, come into my inspector, the videos section, cropping, and I can crop the top. Say I do 150, crop the bottom, 150 so they match, and now I've got cinematic bars that are going to go along with my whole video. Here's a little bit of what that looks like. It definitely adds a little more of that cinematic feel and cinematic vibe to your videos. Cinematic editing isn't all about complicated and fancy effects. It's all about the intention of how you're doing things in your video. The color, the pacing, the motion, it's all working together to help tell the story that you want to convey in your video. So try one or two of these tips in your next edit, see how it works out, see if it helps your videos feel a little more cinematic, and if you're happy with the results that you get. If you found this video a little helpful, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out, helps the video out, and you can check out some of my other editing videos if you need more tips and tricks. A big thank you to Krotos for sponsoring today's video. Again, I love Krotos. I've been using them long before they ever sponsored anything, and it's just a great tool. I really enjoy it a lot. I could actually play with it for like all day, just make sounds and stuff. So it's a really awesome tool. Check it out. Link in the description below if you're interested in that. So I'm glad that you were able to hang out with me here for a little bit, learning some cinematic editing techniques. Again, my name is Jason, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.